Hey YouTube.
What's up?
Today we've got a pretty big topic, and when I say pretty big topic, I mean it's about a pretty big YouTuber. It's about Logan Paul. Sorry, I get them mixed up, Logan and Jake Paul, but it's about Logan Paul specifically. Now, if you're not sure which one this is, or not sure who this is at all, this is the guy where, if you've heard, about a year ago, was doing a vlog, and they went into a Japanese suicide forest, and they filmed something in that forest that shouldn't have really been filmed. Logan Paul, though, has recently come out and talked a little bit about his finances, and that's what I want to take a look at, and that's what this video is about. Before we get started, though, I just want to say that this video is brought to you by Audible. I have a link down in the description there to check it out. Audible is an amazing service provided by Amazon. It allows you to listen to audiobooks, and what's down there is a 30-day free trial. I actually use it myself. I listen to all kinds of books. Right now, I'm going through the Metro series. Very creepy, very dark. If you like scary stuff, man, I recommend that one. Otherwise, you can go through Game of Thrones, and I am a sucker for all those Star Wars books too. Anything sci-fi really gets me going. So yeah, like I said, if you want to support the channel, I have a link down below. Even if you do the 30-day trial, it still helps me out a bit. So if you guys want to at least just try it out, I definitely recommend it. You can do it on your phone on the go. If you're a commuter, you'll absolutely love it. But enough with the plugs. Let's get on with the meat of the video. So Logan Paul is a pretty influential, pretty big creator on YouTube. I mean, he has great hits out there like "I arrested a convicted felon again." I'm sure that's not clickbait. Now, it's no secret that quite a few people make a living on YouTube, and being as big a star as he is, it should come as no surprise that he makes a tremendous amount of money on YouTube, but I want to take a look at the specifics. But before we do that, I really want to go over why I'm even making this video in the first place, and it's actually an interview that he did with Fox Business, and I just want to read to you a piece of the article here. It goes like this. The title is "Logan Paul, $1 million a month YouTube star, says he may be going broke," and it's by Julia Limitone. It's pretty recent, came out on the 23rd. So it says, YouTube megastar and host of Impulsive Podcast told Fox Business on Monday he's worried that he may be going broke. "My expenses just surpassed my income for the first time ever," he told Liz Claman. "I just sat with my financial manager and he told me that I'm definitely going downhill from here." The 24-year-old superstar rakes in between $14,800 and $236,300 per month. That's a pretty big gap. Or between $177,000 and $2.8 million per year, according to Forbes. In 2018, he earned an estimated $14.5 million. However, his direct earnings suffered after a controversial suicide video scandal, despite a bump in merchandise sales last year. And that suicide scandal is, of course, that Japanese forest thing that happened. When Clement asked whether he's nervous, Paul responded, "I'm terrified. I think it's the beginning of the end." Now, most of you out there, at least the sane ones, including myself, the response to reading something like this is going like this. You know, it's the eye roll. It's the eye roll. This is absolutely, it seems out of whack here. The guy makes anywhere from $15,000 to over $200,000 a month, and he's going broke. So I decided to take a look, and let's try to really measure out what we're looking at here. Now, first things first, I just wanted to verify that we could take a look and see what he has for his income. So I went over to Social Blade. For those of you who aren't familiar, Social Blade is a tool that allows you to see some of the more specifics in some people's YouTube channels, and it's an estimate because it's not inside a YouTube tool, but it's a pretty good tool usually. Now, when we look at Logan Paul here, yeah, we can see here anywhere from $15,000 to $240,000 monthly, $180,000 to about $3 million yearly. Now we can take a look at all of this stuff right down here. Now, what's interesting about Logan Paul's content as well, I went through a bunch of his stuff. A lot of his stuff remains monetized, so he is making money on his videos, because sometimes this will show that people are making money, but if they're not monetized, they won't be making the money that this is saying. So what we can see here, and actually we can see daily amounts, which is kind of interesting. So he looks like he averages anywhere from 1 to 2 million views a day, and let's take a look right in the middle here. Let's grab the 13th. It looks like he got 1.5 million. He gained 5,000 subscribers in a day. 1.5 million views he got, and his estimated earnings were anywhere from $374 to $6,000. Now, that is pre-tax, but could you imagine for a second making over $300 a day every day, even on weekends, even days yet you aren't working? All the way up to $6,000. He could make $6,000 a day. See, that's a lot of money. One thing I want to point out as well is that he says that it's all downhill from here, right? That's what his financial advisor told him. And maybe his growth isn't growing quite as fast as it was before, but it's still growing, and that's what's important. You can see he's still gaining 5,000 subscribers every single day, and even some days he'll gain more. He'll gain like 10,000, like right here, right towards the bottom. That doesn't necessarily look to me like something that's going downhill. Now let me ask you this. If you were going to use the phrase, I'm going broke, right, to declare bankruptcy, or especially firmly, let's focus on the phrase, I'm going broke. What period of time does that align with? In my mind, that says that if you say I'm going broke, I'm assuming that within a year, but more within like 6 months, you will be out of money. That's where things get a little bit weird, because I went ahead and did a little bit more research, and this, I say research, but we're just skimming the top here, and I just pulled up his net worth, and let's just take a look here. It's a $19 million estimated net worth. Now it's estimated, maybe it's a lot lower, who knows, but I wanted to make sure I kind of tried to get a collection of his assets. You can't really see how much money he has, but you can see some of the things that are major that he owns, and one of which is his $6.5 million house, his really nice California house. So he's got a $6.5 million house that factors into his $19 million net worth. So we can assume, I mean, if he owns the house, it's at least the $6.5 million, right? Now, then we have to guess at what his expenses are, and I'm not really sure what he would have for expenses. I'm not familiar with what everything that would be there. I'm sure he has an editor. I'm sure he has, like an entourage that he has with him. And I was kind of just doing some mental math. Let's just do some base level projection that could be 100% incorrect, okay? And let's assume that he has 10 people that work for him, and they all cost $100,000 each a year. Maybe some cost less, maybe some cost more, maybe it costs them and that should add up to $1 million a year. Maybe it costs $2 or $3 million a year, all right, to keep all these people going and to keep his brand going, all right? That still doesn't really add up to what we're looking at here. What we're looking at here with a $19 million net worth plus an up to $2 million a year income, well, first off, we can see the income pretty much washes out anything that should be an expense and probably even makes him money. So he's still making money, I would be willing to say. But let's say his income is flush with his expenses, or let's even say his expenses cost $1 million a year more than his income. I doubt it. I bet you he's making money, but let's assume, right, that his income doesn't meet his expenses and he costs him $1 million a year. That means that he has a theoretical up almost 20 years before he would go broke by going into a $1 million deficit a year. He could spend $1 million more than he makes every single year and be fine for 20 years and live a very nice life. That doesn't sound like going broke to me. And not only that, that's assuming all things remain equal, because if expenses continue to rise and revenue continue to fall, arguably some people would be let go or some wages would be cut in order to hold on to things. Maybe he would just get rid of everybody and retire and just make videos by himself, maybe make a couple $100,000 a year, but then have almost no expenses and be sitting on like $15 million. You know, he has the options there. All that being said, we have to ask ourselves what the purpose of him saying he's going broke is, and I think it's pretty obvious. I think he's trying to get, one, some sympathy points from people who aren't aware enough to realize that the guy is very wealthy, and if he did end up going broke, it's only up to his own accord. It's not like he was dealt a bad hand. He was dealt a very, very good hand. I mean, come on. The guy was dealt a royal flush. If anything happens, it's his own fault, right? So yeah, I think he's trying to not scam, but I think he's definitely stretching the truth a little bit in order to get sympathy views, as well as to convince people to start donating in or buying more merchandise, just to make more money. I think it's a ploy to pull in even more money. And there might be some of you out there who are saying, oh, but Yestervark, what about, well, you maybe aren't factoring all the expenses. Maybe he has this whole entourage, maybe he doesn't own his house, maybe he's paying all this money, maybe he's not making as much money from YouTube as you think he is. Well, alright, fine. I have an answer for that. This was the first part was my one contained part of the argument, and now here's the extra barrage of information that I want to add into this, just to really seal my point. You see that article? Remember when they said how much money he made? There's an estimated amount that Social Blade lined up with pretty well, and it was anywhere from $200,000 to $2 million about a year. Well, that's kind of an inaccurate way to look at it, because there's actually a couple other channels that he also owns that aren't being taken into account, and that's what I wanted to pull up here. So one, we've got the Impulsive Podcast. Well, that seems like it's the wrong one. This one is the right one here. So we can see he's got like 100 uploads. 1.6 million subscribers, 97 million total views. But when we go down and we look at what's going on, same message. He's gaining anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 subscribers, so it's not doing quite as well as the other channel, but it gets almost 1 million views daily, which makes him anywhere from $50 to $3,000 a day on top of what we were already talking about, on top of the money that he was already making. Now, this is even more inaccurate because these are YouTube's numbers that we're looking at, and this is a podcast. The interesting thing about that, for those of you who get really into advertising, you'll know these numbers, but for those of you who aren't familiar, when you do generic YouTube ads, there's something called a CPM, and that's essentially how much they pay you for every 1,000 people will view a video, and YouTube CPM is anywhere from like $2 or $3 to like $5 or $6, so right in that range. So for every 1,000 people that watch a monetized YouTube video, you can usually assume they'll make like $2 to $6 per 1,000 people that will watch that video. All right, with a podcast, a lot of times, especially with bigger people like a guy like this, because they know people will buy, advertisers will pay a lot more like $20 to $40 per 1,000. So the guy's numbers here, I wouldn't be surprised if his podcast makes as much money as his vlogs. I really wouldn't be surprised. So I think we almost have to double his income when we're really looking at things. And then there's the final piece of what we're going to look at. And even if you don't believe me now, even if you don't think that he would make enough money to stay afloat, the guy has one of the most successful merch stores out there. His merch flies off the shelves, and I guarantee you that that is one of the biggest money makers for him. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it, because he's making a direct cut of money for everything he sells. He's basically sponsoring himself with his own merchandise, which isn't an unpopular thing to do, and I actually have merchandise too. It's down in the description if you want to see it. But what do you guys think? Do you think that he's doing this as some sort of scam? Do you think there's something that I missed that is going on here that could be going on? Maybe he has some weird expenses that I didn't even factor in. Let me know down in the comments below, and let me know if I missed some of his income as well. Let me know if there's something else that he does that makes him even more money, or something that he does that loses his money. I want to know what you guys have to say, and if you enjoyed the video, of course, feel free to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and leave that comment down below. I really appreciate it. Also, like I said, feel free to check out Audible. I can't swear by it enough. I've used it for years, actually. Back when I used to commute a lot for work, it kind of saved me, because once you commute a lot, you get sick of the same songs that are on your phone. Music just gets old, and you can't sit in silence. And I did listen to a lot of podcasts, but even that gets old. Once I found Audible, I was like, man, I love driving. I listened to The Martian on it. That is one of the best books ever. Like I said, I'm a sucker for sci-fi. So check out the link in the description. Even if you guys do the free trial, I really appreciate it. It does help out the channel. And I think that's all I really have to say today. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I don't think he's going bankrupt. I don't think he's going broke. And I think he's taking advantage of people by saying that. So let me know what you guys think. Have a good night.